Boxing Day evening, he had shown that he cared about her too, even if he had said afterwards that he hadn't intended it to happen, and that, as a poorly paid assistant teacher with a sister to support, he was the worst kind of a cad for kissing her when he knew he had nothing to offer her. But then he had paused and looked at her and said huskily, "At least not at the moment." Sally had known then that those words coming from Callum were every bit as good as a request to go steady for another young man, and her heart had swelled with gratitude to whoever was responsible for her meeting him. No one could possibly have a better friend than Morag. She and Sally were closer than sisters. They did everything together, worked, complained about their poor aching feet and their raw hands, went dancing together at Liverpool's famous Grafton Ballroom, oohed and ahed over the newest pictures to be shown in the cinemas, and Morag even thought that Sally's parents were every bit as special as Sally did herself. One day they would be sisters, when she and Callum were... But no, Sally couldn't even think the word married, because she knew if she did, she would blush, and then her mother would ask her why. As Sally had discovered this Christmas, some things were too new to tell even the most loving of mothers and the closest of friends. Some things were so special, so magical and so longed for, that they could only be shared with one special person, and thought about in private. "That'll be your father," her mother announced now, her face lighting up as she heard the sound of a key in the front door. Sally's father had a good job working as a senior clerk at the town hall. As always when he came home, he put an arm round his wife and his daughter, drawing them close as he asked, "And how are my best girls?" Oh yes, she was one of the luckiest girls in Liverpool, Sally acknowledged, with so much to be thankful for. And it had been the most wonderful Christmas, starting 2 days before Christmas Eve, when she and Morag had decorated the Christmas tree her parents had brought home from St. John's Market, along with a large turkey and enough vegetables and treats, her father had teased her mother, to feed them all for a month. Whilst her mother had sat and watched, and her father had tested the pretty Christmas tree lights from the previous year, Sally had lovingly explained to Morag the family significance of each precious tree ornament. There had been the delicate tin candle holders that held the bright red wax candles, which were never lit in case they caused a fire. The candle holders had originally belonged to her grandparents, and it took a steady hand to clip them securely upright onto the tree's branches. Then there had been the glass baubles, some of them predating Sally's own birth, others bought new each year of her life, and with so many happy memories of previous Christmases that unpacking them was like rediscovering old friends. As the afternoon light had faded into evening, and her mother had switched on the lights in the comfortable sitting room, with its dark green damask-covered three-piece suite, its curtains and cushions made from paisley-patterned fabric, bought on special order from Lewis's in Liverpool, the dark green and gold pattern-fitted carpet that her father had insisted on, even though her mother protested that it was far too expensive. Sally had seen the tears in Morag's eyes. But it had been her mother who got up from her chair to come over to them and put her arm tenderly round Morag, telling Sally quietly, "Darling, go and put the kettle on, will you?" When Sally had come back into the sitting room, Morag had been smiling, albeit somewhat tremulously, and later, when they were back at the hospital, Morag had told her emotionally, "You have the most wonderful parents, Sally, especially your mother." On Christmas Eve they had all gone together to the church, where Sally had been christened and confirmed, and after midnight mass, with the crispness of frost in the air, neighbours and friends had been warmly welcomed back to number 28 Lilac Avenue for a glass of sherry and the mince pies that Sally and Morag had helped to bake. With Sally sharing her own room with Morag over Christmas and Callum sleeping in the small box room, the house had been full, but in the most wonderful way. Sally's father and Callum insisting on cooking breakfast on Christmas Day after church.